It is time to sell my video game collection. Whether I like it or not, my video games need to go. Before I get into my reason why I made that decision, let me give you a bit of history. I've been collecting video games since around 2009, 2010, so for quite a while now. Back then it was simply because I didn't have the money for newer video games. So I got into retro games in order to stretch my little income that I had back then as far as I could and get as much game time while also collecting and having the hobby in my life. Around 2021, I sat down, I looked at my collection and decided I need to sell a huge part of this. My big reason back then was I looked at my financial situation. Now, I was never struggling for money really. I was always fine in that regard. But I looked at the ratio and I realized that I had a big chunk of my overall net worth in video games, like on my shelf in games. Now, I don't invest in video games. So a lot of people buy these rare games and speculate on them going up in value in order to sell them again. I don't do that. I collect video games and I collect video games that I like. And if I lose money in the process, okay. If I make some money in the process, fine as well. I'm not hunting profits in this hobby. However, I did the exercise and I highly recommend it to you. Go through your games, go through even price charting to make it easy and see how much your collection is worth. You will be shocked because if you have hundreds of games like me, that number adds up quite a lot. I looked at my video game collection in my relation to my overall net worth back then, and I decided too much of it is in plastic on my shelf, and even worse, a big part of it was in video games that I really didn't care about. I got them in bulk, I got them just to try them out in the past, but I really didn't care about a lot of them. A big part of my collection, if it vanished tomorrow, I wouldn't really care too much. So I sold off a big part of my video game collection and only kept the core sets. For example, my JRPG collection for most consoles. I sold, 30 Xbox 360 games that I had just because I didn't care about them. And I thought I would never play them again. Now, do I regret some of the games that I've sold? Yes. I sold almost all of my Mega Drive games back then, and most of them I'm fine with. I kept the cool games I like Soleil, for example, Sonic, and these games stayed in my collection. Most of them I don't miss. There are things like my Space Harrier 2 that I would like to buy again one day, but it's not high on the list. It's not hurting me in my daily life. But it was a very good exercise and I really felt relieved to have a lot of that free money again, which I back then invested into boring world ETFs and stuff like that. Your typical, portfolio rebalancing that you should do every few years. And I bought a few games too, I suddenly had this amount of money I had from selling all of my games, and I thought, a lot of these games have always been too expensive for me. I always wanted them, but I never wanted to pay the price. Now I have the cash right here. Let me buy some of the games just off my list that I never got myself to spend that money on. That was a nice exercise. My collection shrunk quite a bit, and I was a lot happier with the games that I still had. It's that time again. Over the last 4 years, since I did that big sell-off, I acquired quite a few games again. And every few years, you should look at your collection and really think about, do I care about this game? Maybe I bought it to try it out because it interested me, but it didn't really click in the long run. Maybe it is a game that disappointed you, that you really don't want to look at anymore. I did that again and I decided it's time to sell. Now I have a few games, games I don't care about. For example, Little Big Planet 3 on the PlayStation 3. I don't care about this. I bought it because I've heard good things about the Little Big Planet series. I think I paid like a tenner for it back then. Thought it's a good deal. I'll pick it up and give it a try. It wasn't really my thing. Played it with my girlfriend back then. Bit of co-op, nice hour or so. Never looked at it again. So this is a game that really can go. Games that I bought and disappointed me were games like that I want to try out. This is The Police for the Switch. Now this is like a police management game, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I was in the mood for a management game, and while it was fun, it was more like a visual novel. You didn't really have control over all the police force and so on. So this is a game, if it's missing right now, it's a cheap game. I could buy it if I really wanted to, but this doesn't need to be on my shelf anymore. Games like this can go. Games that I would prefer a different version of. Ys, Monstrum Nox, right here for the Switch. Now, I'm not quite sure if I want to sell this at the moment. I'm still debating that. I played through it on the Switch. However, the Switch version really is inferior to the PlayStation 4 version. So I would like to get the PlayStation 4 version of this. The only reason I got the Switch version is because I got a good deal in a store one day. Now, I have most of my Ys games of the modern ones on the PlayStation 4. I have Ys Origins, Ys 7, Ys 7, Ys, all the other Ys games, basically. Ys 8 is the one, Lacrimosa of Dana. I have the PS4 version of it. I will get Ys 10 for the PlayStation 4, I think. And this one is just sticking out like a sore thumb. Just for the collection's sake, I would like to trade this for a PlayStation 4 version. Now in these boxes, when I bought some games, like higher ticket games, often you find a good deal while you're looking for the game that you want to buy. For example, 2021, one of the games I wanted when I sold my collection originally was Parasite Eve, because it always looked like a fantastic RPG with horror vibes. I'm a gigantic fan of D2 on the Dreamcast, and I was hoping for something similar to that. And I got a copy of Parasite Eve for the PlayStation 1, and I bought my copy at auction, and while that happened, I also watched another auction that was selling for a bit of a discount compared to what I got. So what do? You bid on it too, and you win it, and now you have an extra copy of Parasite Eve. Now, this one can go. I don't need an extra copy of Parasite Eve. So I can get rid of this, no problem. Other things. Grandia 2. I just got good deals on this game for a long time. I have 2 extra copies of it. I don't need 2 extra copies. So these can go too. Or games that I upgraded. For example, here's the PAL version of Grandia. I upgraded to the NTSC version to have it like uniform on my shelf. And because it runs better, I just feel better having the NTSC versions for PlayStation 1 games in general. They're just a better version most of the time. So my PAL version of Grandia can go. I don't need this anymore. It's been in a box for quite a long time. You know, games like this that I acquired for some reason. Some of you may remember that I collected all the Xbox 360 games for JRPGs for the Xbox 360. I got a few doubles for this, like Tales of Fantasia, Final Fantasy 13-2, because I have a sealed copy of this that I want to keep. 13 is another one I have a double of, and Eternal Sonata right here. This one had some water damage, so I had to buy another copy. So these are just doubles in the collection that I can get rid of without any problems as well. I have some Master System games. For example, here's a copy of Ys. I have a double of this with a German manual. And this one it also has the German manual, but it has a rip in it. So this one can go. I have some other rare Master System games that I acquired doubles of, like Alex Kidd and Miracle World right here. For the Wii U, I got a cheap copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X with the intent of getting a Wii U one day to play this. I never got around to having a Wii U. I have really no interest in getting a Wii U, so I have a sealed copy of Xenoblade Chronicles X right here that I can get rid of. I have the Switch version, I care more about that. I will never get a Wii U, I think, so that one can go as well. Now, am I in financial trouble? Am I rebalancing my investments, again, my portfolio? Because as I said, I don't invest into video games, but I still see them as a part of my overall net worth. Like I check prices every now and then, keep up on what money I have in video games on my shelf. No, not really. Like I'm fine there. It's just, I have some games on the shelf that I don't care about, that I want to get rid of just to make space, because I'm running out of space as well on the shelves. Instead of buying new shelves, I'm just selling games that I don't care about. And I want to consolidate, is that the right word? Like shrink down, like put everything into fewer games. Back then I collected a complete collection of Dreamcast JRPGs. JRPGs, my favorite genre, Dreamcast, my favorite console. I wanted to do that. And I've been lying to myself, telling I have a complete collection, because according to my criteria that I set myself, I do. But there are two games on that list that I'm still missing. One is Egg, Elemental Gimmick Gear, the US version of that game. It's an action-adventure Zelda-like game. I don't collect it as a JRPG, but I would like to have it as a nice little tacked on extra, saying I also have Egg in my Dreamcast collection. That is like a €150 game right now. Another one is Lotus War, Record of Lotus War for the Dreamcast, a Diablo clone. I wouldn't describe it as a JRPG, however it is an RPG made in Japan for the Dreamcast. That one is like an €80-85 game right now for the NTSC version. PAL version is very cheap, relatively easy to get sealed even, but I have all my Dreamcast JRPGs in the US versions. I explained to you earlier with Grandia, and I'm doing the same thing here. So these two games I want for the Dreamcast in order to complete my JRPG collection. Finally, after telling myself it's complete, but it's always been in the back of my mind. Two other games for the Dreamcast that I really want to get are Sonic Adventure 1, one of my favorite games, my favorite Sonic game. Great game on the Dreamcast, you can't tell me otherwise, I love it. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. I have two very different perspectives on these games. Sonic Adventure 1, one of my favorite games of all time. Sonic Adventure 2, one of the games I hate with a passion. It's one of those games I hate so much I want it in my collection to look at it. Now granted, I've only ever had and played the GameCube version of it, and I sold that in anticipation of getting a Sonic Adventure 2 for the Dreamcast. Never got around to it, it's quite pricey as well. So these four Dreamcast games, Egg, Lotus War, Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic Adventure 2, I want to sell these games, make that money back, liquidate some of my investment into these, and reinvest them by buying games that I actually care about, that have been on my mind for years. And I think I will be happier with them than just having my copy that I'm unhappy with of Ys 9 or This Is the Police on the shelf. Now some of these are bangers, like if I sell Parasite Eve, I'm already making a huge part of the money I need. I did the calculations, I need to get my hands on around €500 to get these four games. All of them have gone up quite in price. I'll try to make some deals with collectors, maybe I can get a bundle. But that's what I'm looking at, around 500. Some of them are bangers, Parasite Eve, like an €80 game. That's already like almost a fifth of that money right there. Others will take a while, like this one I'll probably just sell to a store for like a $5 or so. Maybe replace the case to make some of my other used games look nice. This was sealed, I bought this brand new. So yeah, I'll maybe do some donor cases here and then sell the cheap games. That's what I usually do if I have a game that's worthless. For example, here Little Big Planet 2. I already replaced the case with one that like has a sticker or sticker residue in the front. Because, you know, I want my nicer games in my collection to have the better case. And I replaced that one. So doing some donor cases for the very cheap stuff that I'm practically giving away when I sell them. And then making some big money on some of the games that I have. I haven't looked up the prices for the sealed Xenoblade in a while. I got it for 20 back in the day in the store sealed, so I'll pick that up and play it when I get the console. I don't know what it's worth right now with the Switch version out as well. So that's my plan. That's what I'm doing. Maybe I'm taking you on the journey. Tell me in the comments if you're interested in that. Have you ever sold your games, your collection? Have you had a reason to do it in the past? Please let me know. Tell me about your experience with that. And I wish you a fantastic day. See you next time. Bye.